Welcome to the Mandy Sunner Show. Today we're going to bring Rochelle Williams into your living rooms or wherever you are, and she's going to bring insight and gems about how she's got to where she has. She's going to talk about her early career in IT and business and how now she owns her own business and is running her consultancy. So, over to you, Rochelle.
Thanks so much, Mandy. Thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
I feel honoured. I really
The
do.
first one of the Mandy Sunner Show. Privileged.
I feel really honoured. Well, we're going to kick it off with early career questions because I think sometimes people really want to know about, how did she get there? I know when I used to meet people, I used to think, how did they get there? So what moments would you say shaped your career?
Yeah, so I guess a quick introduction of myself. So Rochelle Williams, I run a consultancy, as you mentioned, so run my business.
When you started your career, I remember you posted something on LinkedIn actually about your car, the car that your dad you purchased or, to help you get going. So, what was it in your career that you feel early on that actually shaped you to carry on? What was it that...
Yeah, absolutely. So, yes. So what I was thinking of was, so I studied business information systems at university, so business and IT. And what I really enjoyed as part of that course was getting to know kind of how businesses use IT to ultimately push them forward, how they, do digital transformations, how they're constantly transforming, changing. As part of that, I did a placement year at IBM, which was wicked to actually just support consulting teams and see what it's like on the ground. And then did a dissertation on project managers using social media to ultimately support them in the workplace, which I find really interesting now thinking back because, I'm very big at the moment on LinkedIn. I'm like posting every day.
You are a hot girl.
So it's really funny to kind of look back at that and clearly see that I've always been quite passionate about social media. And now it's ultimately, helping me drive my business because without LinkedIn, you wouldn't have a business ultimately. That for me was a really strong place, strong foundation for me to start my career. And actually that dissertation tutor, I was actually with a couple of months ago, which is crazy, 11 years on.
Oh, wow.
So we stayed in touch and had a really awesome opportunity in the University of Wales facilitating a session for him. So it's amazing, how your network can kind of, shape your career, staying in touch with people and lead to opportunities now.
That sounds amazing. And would you say that they were your biggest mentor or influence?
Yes. So I've got different mentors for different, parts of my career. So he was definitely one that, helped shape my kind of uni kind of chapter. We got published as an article. So that dissertation that I did, we published that. So that, really did give me that strong foundation to start my career. But in terms of family mentors, my aunt and my sister are the ones that come to mind for me. So one of my really early memories was my aunt actually came to a parents' evening because my mum was working or whatever, so couldn't go along. And apparently I wasn't paying attention and was playing about. And, she sat me down and she was like, if you carry on like this, you're not going to, get far with your life. And that for me was one of those early moments that went, okay, I need to work hard to create the career that I want to have. So just having her sit me down that day, really did kind of change my trajectory. And my sister, for me, bless her. So running a business is hard. You've got ups and downs, kind of. You do everything in a business, but bless her, she's my little cheerleader. So she's often sending me little memes on WhatsApp just with little cheerleading kind of emojis and stuff, just supporting the things that I'm doing and celebrating, all these little wins that you have regularly. But just having someone that's in your corner has been awesome.
Yeah. It really, it's important, isn't it, to have somebody supporting you, just so that you feel that sense of purpose. And you reminded me actually of when I was younger. I had an aunt, because when you said aunt and sister, I don't have a sister, but when I was growing up, I had an aunt, and I didn't really know anything about metaphors growing up. I mean, we used them, but I didn't know anything about them. And my aunt said to me, and she's the aunt who speaks beautiful English, and she's really modern. And she said to me one day, I was about 7 or 8, and she said, Mandy, if you keep walking and being in your life with your nose stuck up in the air, you're going to fall.
Wow.
I just remember thinking, I took it literally.
Yeah.
I thought, I better make sure my nose is not up in the air.
Yeah. Well, you definitely took that on board, because I wouldn't say that about you now.
Thank you. Rochelle, how are you feeling? Are you relaxed now?
Yeah.
Should we bring a 60-second in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go for it. God.
Sorry. A little bit of fun, just to kind of... So, if you had to change your job title, because you're director now, but if you had to change your job title to match your personality, what would that be?
That's a good question. I'd probably say energy creator or energy spark. Yeah, energy sparker, something around energy.
Director of energy.
Yeah, director of energy.
Director of Fernell Energy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I can actually see that taking off.
Yeah. So, because everything that I do now, especially with my business, I try to align it with my energy, and try to kind of do things that give me energy. Podcast chats, like just having a conversation, like it does fuel my energy by the end of the day, and connecting with people. So, and my training for the Back of the Room course that I deliver is all about energy, kind of sparking that magic in the room.
And just for people out there, I met you at the Scrum Exchange quite a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing you and thinking, oh my goodness me, she's amazing, because the way you conducted yourself, the way you sat down and you absorbed things and created models, and then you posted it on LinkedIn.
My little mind maps.
I was just blown away. I thought, wow, she's just so focused. And
we did have a great energy that day.
Oh, we really
I remember the sparks connecting between us, and chatting about all sorts in the room, and yeah.
It was great. So let's come back to your current role and insights. So you've kind of shared a little bit with people out there, but for some people who may not know what you actually do, obviously having a business, there's lots to do. So what is it that you actually do?
Yeah. So I'm self-employed, so I run my business, Fernell Projects, which, little side note, so Fernell is actually my maiden name. So when I got married 4 years ago, I decided to name my business over my maiden name so I could keep that. And ultimately what I do is I kind of have 2 pillars of my business, is kind of the way I describe it. So one pillar is agile coaching consulting. So helping organizations, tends to be in the IT space, but helping organizations get a bit more organized with their work, prioritize, have that kind of single focus, like stop starting, start finishing, aligned to Scrum, Kanban, or kind of describe myself as methodology agnostic. So applying the aspects of agile that make sense for the context that I'm working in, not just doing Scrum because they said they wanted to do Scrum, like finding that element of agile that works for them. So that's one pillar of my business. And then the other pillar that I've been really excited about this year is training from the back of the room. So facilitating training from the back of the room publicly or privately to organizations as well, which is ultimately a course about how to deliver training, workshops, any kind of learner-led environment where it's like a group of people in a collaborative, engaging way. So moving away from being that sage on the stage with PowerPoint behind you to guide on the side. So guiding the learners through the experience rather than just throwing content at people and expecting it to land. Because ultimately with training, it just doesn't work that way. You need to kind of guide the experience.
Yeah, definitely. Because it probably sticks more.
Yeah.
Because people are, they're kind of like experimenting with what you're sharing. I will come along to one of your sessions.
Yes, that would be awesome to have you there.
I will come along. So can you walk us through a recent big-ish decision, and how did you make it? How did you make that decision?
Yeah, so I've kind of had a few different chapters of my career / business. So very early on, when I first launched my business, I focused on contracting. So just working with one client as an agile coach, kind of embedded in a day rate, just focusing, on them. Then I went traveling for a year and a half and got back February last year. And then since then, for the last year or so, the latest chapter that I've been on, it has been kind of more fractional agile coaching consulting. So working with a few clients so that I can cross-pollinate ideas, because ultimately clients always ask you, what are other organizations doing? Like what's working and what's not working. If you're deep into one client, it's very hard to be able to answer that question, because you put the hat on of that client. Whereas if you're fractional, then you can actually say what other organizations are doing, obviously keeping it sensitive, but able to cross-pollinate those ideas so that organizations are able to learn a lot faster, and learn from others' experience.
And I mean, that kind of thing would ultimately raise the level of people in industry. So, you're talking about competencies and skills of individuals, actually increasing.
Yeah.
So, from a profit point of view, from a kind of conversion currency, that's actually a really good thing.
Yeah. And a lot of, the world now is moving more towards that kind of fractional way of working rather than having like one career. A lot of people are setting up businesses because they're recognizing that actually it's so much more productive to kind of follow our energy and go where we're passionate. So then by being fractional, it allows me to do the agile coaching, also facilitate workshops, because I love the energy that workshops brings, and then training from the back of the room as well. So it gives me that whole blend of running my business rather than just focusing on one thing. I really can follow that energy.
I love that. I love the fact that you love the workshops, because I love learning. So, a bit of kind of novelty seeker, but also because I think that whole learning aspect really is conducive and brings the humility. The angle of learning is like saying, look, I don't know, so you teach me, or I'm going to learn from you. And I think there's so much there to tap into. Because in various sort of Scrum, Agile, we talk about servant leadership. We talk about that kind of humility, but actually, how do you actually get the humility? And I think the learning experience is one of the fundamental ones where you kind of drop that ego. You go in with the mindset of, come on, I want to learn. Yeah, for sure. So the training from the back of the room course itself really does build that psychological safety for people to connect. It's amazing to see on the 2-day course at the start, sort of everyone's strangers, they don't know each other. And then because the way the training is done, there's lots of activities, lots of connection exercises. By the end of the 2-day, watching everyone connect and have really deep conversations because the psychological safety is there. And that's what it's about, is learning in that safe space so that you can kind of, grow together ultimately. And that's a beautiful thing about it. And also the psychological safety is really fundamental, isn't it? And I remember years ago, myself included, you're on a Windows screen or a Unix screen, and you'd hesitate to do anything on the computer because you didn't want to break anything. I mean, I'm talking about like 20 years ago, a long time ago. And whereas now, kids are walking with tablets, and there is no hesitation in terms of, let me try that, let me press that button. So in a way, would you say people kind of maybe get conditioned into a way, and then they have to come out of that conditioning?
It's a really good point, actually, because kids just do fail fast, like inherently. Like we talk about fail fast in Agile, because it's like try something, fail, but learn from it. Whereas kids, like they don't need to be told that. They'll just go, oh, I need to build a shed. Not build a shed, build some sort of like structure, and they'll just do it and give it a go. And yeah, as an adult, you kind of get like, oh no, I can't fail. Like I can't, push yourself. But it is ultimately the best ideas, the best innovation comes from when you just try something and then learn from it and adapt, going on from that. And, in the training for the back of the room course, we do lots of play and kind of different kind of games and stuff to kind of get people kind of just trying things out. And actually, this weekend I'm going to Play London, which is all about kind of playing games and bringing different games into the environment by just trying something, giving it a go, and then learning from it.
Very nice, very nice. So, right, another question. Get back to my questions. If you could change perception in your industry, what would it be?
Yeah, so training from the back of the room as a name puts a lot of people off, because if they don't do training themselves, they go, okay, I'm not going to go to this training for the back of the room course. But I quite like to refer to it as ... from the back of the room, because I use the techniques that we cover in training from the back of the room for my workshop facilitation, for conference speaking, for preparing for podcasts, like any kind of information sharing opportunity, whether, ultimately training from the back of the room helps with, because it gives you engaging tools and techniques that you can use to engage an audience, and a structure that's very adaptable, that you can use for training sessions, workshops, any kind of engaging technique. So yeah, I'd really like to kind of change that perception that it's not just about training.
Nice, very nice. I really like that.
Yeah.
I think that's so important. Yeah. What is your top advice for someone just starting out?
So for me, and I think it aligns with what we've spoken about quite a lot in the past, it's find your people, like find your tribe, find your community, whatever kind of phrase you want to add to it. Because ultimately, when you connect with people that are like-minded and get what you talk about, it really does help you grow. And that, for me, being a business owner, it can be quite lonely sometimes. So being part of these communities that I'm in, Scrum Exchange that we mentioned earlier, that is like a really magical kind of moment of just bringing people together in a unconference way, so an unstructured way. But actually, by the end of the 2 days, you are in the right place with the right people at the right time. So the magic that you can create in that room is, really powerful.
Yeah, definitely. So is there anything else? If people are thinking, oh, how else can I start? Like, how would they find their people? How would they know who they are? Kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess linked to the kind of fail fast, try things is just try things. So go to conferences, go to meetups. You've got meetup.com, you've got LinkedIn. We've obviously spoke about, there's all sorts of things advertised on LinkedIn. Just kind of, having a look to see what's out there and asking people as well, what events have people gone to that they've got value out of, and seeing kind of what works for people.
Engage with us, comment, ask Rochelle.
Yes, yeah.
Okie dokie. So we're going to do another 60 seconds just to break it up a bit. I don't even know if I asked you this question. What are you terrible at but secretly enjoy? I don't know if I asked you that. Did I ask you that? My ADHD is kicking in.
What am I terrible at but enjoy? I'd probably say yoga. Nice. So yeah, I'm not very flexible. I can't sit cross-legged. But the headspace that yoga gives you, so breath work or anything like that, is, I really enjoy kind of giving yourself that time. But yeah, I'm really not very good at it.
Nice. Another one. So yeah, tell us what you would choose: podcast, audiobook, or dead silence on a commute.
Definitely not dead silence. Probably podcast, like short form. I've never really got into audiobooks. Yeah, I like kind of short form content, so definitely podcast.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Is there one that you've listened to recently, or one that's sort of struck in your mind that
So I really like the Alex, I don't know his surname, but the ADHD chatter one. Yeah. So I've been on my discovery recently of concluding that I highly likely have ADHD, not diagnosed. But yeah, I really like kind of the conversations that he's had with all sorts of people, kind of realizing that actually, it's okay to kind of have ADHD, and it can sometimes be a superpower, but also knowing, the nuances that comes with it.
I think it's a little bit like agile, like failing fast. It's like, oh, what, fail? How dare you? But actually, that's the whole way that you progress and learn.
Yeah.
And I think with the ADHD, even if you haven't been assessed, or just learning from people who come into that forum means that we can take something away. I mean, I remember one of the early things that I took away was the whole sensitivity dysphoria. I think there's a proper clinical name.
RSD.
That's the one. Somebody's been studying it.
Yeah. I definitely have that.
This is just such an amazing thing, because I've spoken to people and I've said, I definitely have this rejection sense. How do you say it?
Rejection sensitive dysphoria.
Yeah. There you go. And people have said, oh, I think I've got it. I mean, it's kind of obvious in a way that actually people who, you feel rejected, but the amount that they feel rejected, it could be from something really minor. It could be like, well, I tell you, my daughter said to me years ago when she was a teenager, she said, Mum, are you angry with me? I said, no, what? Why do you think I'm angry with you? Well, you didn't put any kisses on the message or the text.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's really, it's so powerful to learn all of these things.
Yeah.
And with all the kind of multi-generational population we have, and also different experiences, so to just learn more about this sort of stuff.
Yeah. The whole when you're employed and can we talk kind of conversation, you instantly think, oh, I'm going to get fired, but actually it's just want a conversation. You always assume the worst.
Yeah. So no, thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, back in the room.
Yeah.
So Rochelle, you've basically you've travelled the world.
Yes.
You've worked for IBM, a global company. You've many people, and you've got your own business. You're married. What's your personal wisdom, work-life balance? So let's touch upon those areas. So how do you define success for yourself?
Yeah. So I guess on the work-life balance thing, you just touched on it, is, we love to travel. So we vowed to ourselves every January we'll just escape the country for a month. And so this January we're off to South Africa. Last January Patagonia, so Chile and Argentina. So I'm very much all or nothing. So I kind of need these big trips to have coming up, so I can work really hard and then be like, okay, we're going to take a month off, and then not think about work for a bit and then get back to it. So
so it's like a real driver for you.
And it's like a motivator to do well with the business, so that we can pay for awesome trips like that.
Nice.
And benefit of being self-employed is you can kind of choose that balance. You wouldn't be able to take a month off with holiday days with full employment.
It's difficult. I think that's the difference there. It certainly is. That's actually a really good point of, working as self-employed to, being a permanent person, the holidays, and you're kind of more in control, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very kind of last week I took a day off with my husband, like aligned to his days off. He's a cameraman, so he's quite flexible kind of working as well, because I didn't have any meetings in the diary. I was like, okay, I can take this day off and we can, you know, spend a nice day together. So yeah, you can have that control of your own diary. Obviously, a lot of business owners do say that, you know, you're never off, which is also true as well. Like the cogs are constantly turning, but it's about kind of taking control of your own diary and kind of blocking things out and going, actually, there's no meeting, so I'm gonna book it off and you know, have that time. So, and you know, enable that work-life balance, which is really important.
Yeah. So, and so you kind of like answered the, you know, work-life balance there. So you're, you know, you have this kind of diary, you've got something to look forward to. And so your definition of success is like doing that gives you that.
Yeah, I think so. And then I think also aligned to kind of the energy thing is choosing work that energizes me. So with training for the back of the room, I'm always absolutely buzzing. Like at the end of sessions, you know, I facilitated a intro workshop this week that just, the feedback at the end of it, everyone was like, you know, saying to me, I've never been so engaged in 60 minutes, like as that 60 minutes alone. And training for the back of the room as well. The course itself, everyone's like, you know, just so engaged, so in it. And then that energizes me. Like I feed off other people's energy. So if they're energized, then I'm energized.
Well, you're a lovely person. You're a lovely person.
Thank you. So are you?
Thank you. So if you had a billboard for future professionals, what would it be?
So I think it would have to say something around the fact that you only live once, so make the most of your life. Like, you know, every decision that I make in life is aligned to, like, life is short, so just like grab it and just enjoy it as much as you can. Everyone always kind of says like, oh, you're really positive and you're, you know, it's because ultimately I'm just trying to enjoy life as much as possible. So yeah, it'd have to say something around those kind of lines.
Like that. My daughter used to bring that up a lot when she was younger. YOLO.
Yeah.
You need to get home. It's 9 o'clock. You've got an exam in the morning. She's like, YOLO, Mum. No YOLO.
I had my 16-year-old cousin to stay in London. And she was just laughing at me every kind of day. She was counting the latest motivational quote I was saying. She was like, oh, next motivational quote. I was like, I can't help it. It's just the way my brain is wired.
And I think it's good.
Yeah.
We need these nuggets.
Yeah, exactly. The things that push us forward. Yeah.
Is there anything else you want the people who watch this hopefully to know about you? Do you have anything up?
Yeah. So shameless plug. I've got my training for the back of the room course coming up. So my next one's end of November. So I'm not sure when this will come out. But yeah, I tend to do them twice a year. Okay. So my next one's end of November, and then next year it'll probably be, I haven't got a date yet, but May or June time. I'm just trying to work out the date at the moment. So that's public courses, but I also deliver training for the back of the room internally as well. So if organisations want to kind of feel the magic of training for the back of the room, then I can come into organisations and deliver it internally as well, which then is, you know, really powerful, because then you're learning the techniques with your team who you're going to be collaborating with and come up with ideas that you can collaborate with together. Reach out on LinkedIn if anyone wants to have a conversation.
Nice, lovely. Love that plug. So I've kind of run out of questions, but I've still got some 60-second reveals.
Yeah.
If you're up for it.
Yeah, let's go for
it. Let's do it. Okay, so one app on your phone you should delete but never will. Sorry.
Probably Facebook, because I don't actively use it anymore. Like I don't really go onto it anymore, but I do have everything that I post on Instagram kind of goes onto Facebook, and I quite like it in terms of, you know, the memories that come up. So like this time last year you did this. But yeah, I probably could like delete the app so that it's like not another scroller, because there's just too many of them out there.
Yeah, the doom scroller.
Yeah.
Just it's so bad for you.
Yeah.
And it's so addictive. Johan Hari speaks about this addiction and this society where The book he's got is Stolen Focus. And when I read books, I get into them, and I get so into them that I can't finish them. So I end up listening to the audiobook, and then I go back to the book and I pick nuggets, and then I sit with it and, cogitate. But the Stolen Focus book is amazing because he really does impress upon how social media, this whole kind of being online all the time has taken away from us. And with the AI storm happening, it feels like somewhere along the pathway, technologists are wanting to shrink our brains. So it kind of, I do kind of think about that situation from that point of view of, I don't even know what I was saying, but, just the whole kind of like having space and having...
Yeah, it's a really powerful point. So I was actually, because Training for Becca is all aligned to brain science and how our brains work. So I attended a session recently on neuroscience, and the lady that was facilitating that actually sort of mentioned that there's different neuro pathways that your brain has, and some of them need to get the idea and then, like you said, like stew on it. So sometimes actually it's really good to cover really important topics just before lunch, so that they can then go away and like think it through in their brain, and then come back and then do the activity kind of after lunch, so that they've had time to process it and go through it, rather than kind of covering the content and then going straight into the activity. Sometimes you need that stewing time to just kind of be sitting in the back of your brain passively, but then actually it kind of triggers thoughts.
So Rochelle, what's your thoughts about exercise? Because like for me, when I look at my kind of like, ambition and my getting to where I've got to, I know that I just couldn't have got there without exercise. And, I became a fitness instructor, personal trainer, talk about going OTT.
Yeah.
But what would you say to that, like exercising because of the brain?
Yeah. Exercise is like my number one rule in life. Like I need to, so I'm a runner, and I really do notice it if I haven't been running for a while. Like earlier this year, I was training for my third marathon. Fortunately, couldn't do it because I got injured. So when I was injured, I really noticed that, because I couldn't run, like the difference it made. But yeah, I'm, a big believer that exercise really does make a difference. And when you're kind of out running, ideas come to you. And sometimes I'm sending little voice notes to myself kind of whilst I'm out on for a run. So yeah, exercise I think is, really important.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, just kind of taking that time, for yourself to just, just give yourself time through exercise. Yeah,
I love that. Thank you for that, and thank you so much for being my first guest.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No, you're absolutely welcome. You really have just this energy about you. So I just wish for you to carry on as you are and just succeed and just share what it is that you have. And I hope people find your insights valuable.
Yeah, thank you. I hope so too. And I'm really excited to see in the future for the Mandy Sana podcast. I think it's going to be some really interesting conversations.
I hope so. Yeah, I really hope so. I'm hoping to bring more diversity, different groups of people. I come from such a diverse background myself, from a professional point of view. So I want to bring that to people.
Yeah. And that will make all the difference, like just having that variety.
I really hope so. Thank you so much, Rochelle.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for joining, and like, share, subscribe, and look forward to the next one. Thank you very much.